Oftentimes I see people, especially non-Muslims, you know, feeling pity for Muslim women. These women are abused. Muslim women have no rights. Muslim women, basically as if the whole world is against Muslim women. And when it comes to polygyny, they also don't fail to, extend their unsolicited empathy or pity. Not even empathy, it's pity. However, before you pity us, please note that nothing about polygyny is compulsory. As it's not compulsory upon men, it's also not compulsory upon our women. It's not. Now, away from even considering the opinions of the non-Muslims, we still have Muslim women who treat it as if it's compulsory. It is not compulsory upon us to accept it. Allah, who made it permissible, knows that there are women who would not be able to accept it. There are women it will be beyond, endurance for. So there is nothing Allah has made permissible that the possible consequences of that thing does not have a solution. Because he's the all-knowing. He knows. He knows us better than we can ever know ourselves. So this sister said, let me read it. She said, I hate being a first wife. I hate it and it hurts me every day. My husband marrying another woman feels like he has taken my heart out and stabbing it every day. I am patient and kind to him. I am trying to make my life and focusing on my children and my interest, but it still hurts. I'm trying so hard, but the pain is constant. Some days better, some days worse. He's so emotionally, when he feels like it, he will contact me, and when he doesn't, he just ignores my calls. He only contacts me when he needs me to do something for him. I do it happily. Does this feeling ever get better, sisters, or is it just like this forever? Sometimes worse and sometimes manageable. The truth is, we are not any more righteous than our predecessors, and I mean our righteous predecessors, the wives of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the wives of the companions. We are not any more righteous than they are. So yet they felt pain. They were jealous. So who are we that wouldn't be? So that's why no one should ever accept it from anyone, making them feel less of a woman or having an iman issues for feeling pain or for being jealous when their man, choose to bring in another woman, another wife. You understand? You have every right to feel that way. And this includes you being a second wife. The most jealous of Prophet Muhammad's wives that we know is Aisha radiallahu anha. She wasn't even the first wife. And I mean, she wasn't the first, even after the death of Khadija radiallahu anha, she wasn't the first. Yet she was the most jealous. Do you understand? She was the most loved, yet she was the most jealous. So are you any more righteous than she was? Are you any more religious than she was? Are you any more loved than she was? Are you any more knowledgeable than she was? Of course, no. Yes, she was very jealous. A lot of reports have it, which we have read. However, there are some women that in all of that jealousy, they are still able to cope and be patient with what has befell them, with what has happened. They are still able to manage it and cope. Fine. But if you happen to be one of these women who cannot cope, cannot endure with it breaks you more than anything. You're trying to be patient, you're trying to see how you can make it work. It's just not working for you. It kills you, it's breaking you. Then you may be one of those women with the permission to seek whole. That is to seek the solution of the marriage from your man. Don't put yourself in that situation like you have been sentenced to it. You have not been sentenced to it. As men are not obligated to practice polygyny, you are also not obligated as a woman to accept the polygyny, to live in the polygyny, even when it becomes unbearable. So we need to stop pushing this narrative that, oh, I'm dying there, I'm dying, it's killing me, I'm not myself, I'm losing it. Leave. It's not that easy, I understand, but is it any more easier than losing yourself? Is it any more easier than resenting your husband? Is it any more easier than becoming something else? Some women even get so hurt that they start bleeding on their children. And you and I know that a lot of these men are very selfish. They have no fear of Allah. So when they marry another wife, they totally forget the existing wife and focus on the new wife. So these women become so hurt, so depressed, they lose themselves, and because they have to channel that anger somewhere, they have to channel that pain somewhere, they become toxic mothers to their children. We see this happen. Really, is it worth it? It's not. So if you are one of these women whom Allah has not made it easy for to endure polygyny, please not stay because of what society would say. Society wouldn't care if anything goes wrong with you. Society will move on. People would move on. Under that comment, I like that this sister said this. She said, I have been where you are. I was constantly reminded that with pain, Allah removes sins. I was also reminded that my reward is with Allah. My husband is limited in his ability to comfort me. My Lord is my comforter. My Lord is the only one who can relieve me my pain. My Lord is the only one who hears my pleas. I rely on him for help and patience and guidance. I found myself relief, Alhamdulillah. Make tahajjud every night if you have to. Seek your Lord's help and understanding of his wisdom. Know that he never tests you with more than you can handle. Trust him. So what am I saying? There are women who would see they will get hurt by it. I mean, almost every woman gets hurt by this, but they are still able to cope. Allah makes it easy for them. So they are hurt, you are hurt, but they are able to stay and function properly. But you cannot. Everything she recommends here, you found yourself doing it, still is not working for you. It doesn't make you any less of a human being. So it may be that your own test in this is to go and navigate how to live a divorced life. That might be your own test in all of this. Why? Because you couldn't cope and you would have to leave. Her own test now is coping because she has chosen to stay and she's finding ways that work for her. So this other sister said, seek your own mental peace and leave. Polygamy isn't for everyone and that's okay. Don't torture yourself mentally. It will eat you up inside and leave you hollow. Another sister said, sis, I feel you. My first husband married another woman and it crushed me. It led to our divorce. I couldn't even be intimate with him. After that, it just psychologically messed me up. And see, when women actually, come out to tell you things, especially some of those who are forcing themselves to endure it, and I use the word force because they are not managing it healthily. They want to rebel against what the man has done. So you want to rebel. Some women are now denying their men intimacy. Some women are no longer the kind of wife they were before this woman, before this woman came in. You are now the shadow of yourself. So what exactly are you suffering for? Because you're no longer submissive to your husband. You deny him of his rights. So why? Because you must stay, you have to stay. So ask yourself, in your patience, is there a reward for you? Is your patience rewarding? Is your patience a beautiful patience? Your staying, is it more beneficial or more detrimental to your life here and your hereafter? I don't know. I understand that a lot of us are worried about what society will say if we become divorced and all. But sometimes we really need to forget about society and think of what will happen in the hereafter. Should we leave this world? Because you are not going to say, oh, yeah, Allah, I became a rebel against my husband. I became a rude wife, a disobedient wife because I was hurt. I was hurt because he took another wife. What he has done is not haram. It's permissible. He had done it. So you can't cope. What are you doing there if it's breaking you, to be honest? So this other sister said, sometimes polygamy can make it look like it's a curse to be a woman in Islam. The pain is too unbearable, but you have to endure it in silence because if you want to fight it, they will say you are challenging Allah's will. May Allah ease our pain. This is wrong. This is a wrong mindset. No one will tell you are challenging Allah's will. Challenging Allah's will is when you say, oh, you hate polygyny. You hate what Allah has made halal. That's you challenging Allah's will. But that, oh, I cannot endure this permission. So instead of me becoming detrimental to myself and to my children and to my husband, I would rather leave. How are you challenging Allah's will in that stance? How? She also said it's like a curse to women in Islam. The pain is too unbearable. It's not a curse. It might be a curse to you as the current wife, but it's a blessing to the incoming wife. It's a blessing to a lot of women who would benefit from polygyny. So it's not a curse to women. You're just feeling hurt because of the position you are in, and it's very okay that you feel that way. Very okay. But it's not a curse. She said, but you have to enjoy it in silence. You don't have to. You mustn't endure it. You can be patient with it, but enduring in silence, and you have to. There is no you have to be honest. So let's stop this narrative. We have not been sentenced to life imprisonment in marriage, especially in the face of polygyny. We have not. Women have not been sentenced to it. So I don't know where we derive this narrative from, and it annoys me Because it's one thing that non-Muslims are saying it and pushing the narrative, but it's another thing when it's a fellow Muslim woman who is saying, you have nothing, you have no choice, you're helpless, you just have to endure it. No, you don't have to endure it. To be honest, because I would rather live a single life that is worthy before Allah than to force myself to stay in a polygyny that is disastrous. In fact, it's eat out of my good deeds in the hereafter. So what's the point? What are you staying for? This sister also said, polygamy isn't for everyone. Me myself can't manage it no matter what. Better I divorce and stay single for the rest of my life. Couldn't even want a man close to me. So the basic is that we have people who would cope, who would manage it healthily, and we have people who would not be able to cope. We are all tested differently, and our capacity, our emotional, psychological, spiritual capacity varies. So the fact that A can cope doesn't mean B will be able to cope. So don't force yourself to remain where Allah has not forced you to remain. I went on Islam QA and there was a similar question that was asked there. The question is, my wife and I have discussed me having a second wife, and she says that if I do, then she will divorce me. We did not get married by the kafirs, but we do have a Islamic contract, and there was no agreement on that contract forbidding me from taking a second wife. So my question is it permissible for her to deny me this? And isn't she making the halal haram on me? My wife is a good Muslimah and she would respect answer with proof. Jazakumullahu khairan. The summary of the response is, concerning her request for divorce if her husband wants to marry another wife, this is a mistake. But they should examine the situation. And if she really cannot cope with living with another wife, then she can ask for whole. That is, a kind of divorce instigated by the wife, where she forgoes the mahr. If she can cope with living with the second wife but it hurts her to do so, then she should be patient and seek the pleasure of Allah. So if you can be patient, it's painful, but you can be patient, then be patient. It's painful, you can't cope. So seek whole. Stop forcing, stop making it look like Islam is so hard on women. Islam doesn't care about women. No. Nothing protects your rights. Nothing protects your right. Nothing care about you than Islam.